closed and people are still joining. We're at 276 right now. And like I said, it is being recorded. So there shouldn't be anybody waiting to get in here. If you're looking for the Flex program, you have to go back. It's been posted in the chat a couple of times. I see parents are continually posting that link, so awesome, thank you. There is the AUSD Facebook page, and they are live streaming the Flexible program there and recording it. I do want to point out that a number of enterprising supportive parents have put together an AUSD Remote Families page. That page is on Facebook as well. You can ask to join. And it is another place where remote families are gathering. That is not an official AUSD page, but I happen to be on it as well, answering questions. And we will go from there. You're welcome to put things there. You're welcome to email me questions. I am, like I said, my name is Ben Wachowski. I am the principal for the remote program. If you are in remote and you're looking for information, this is the place to be. If you are looking for flexible, you're going back to the family conference page and checking your link. Or the AUSD Facebook page for the live stream. And I've said that now a couple of times, but I know people are kind of coming in and out. So I just want to make sure everybody gets to where they need to be. I am going to hit share screen. So I will not be able to see the chat for a while. Parents, those of you that are responding to questions and supporting each other, that's amazing. Thank you. Tonight is hopefully, for some of you, this may feel like information you already have. I hope that's not the case. I do hope there's more information here. But I do, like I say, want to answer questions. There's a whole lot of questions as well about what does it mean to be a member of the remote program and a member of your home school and things like that. And we're going to talk about that too. A question about who do I ask or where do I send questions to, and we'll get to that too. But really tonight is just a little bit more for families. To again, two goals for me always is reduce the anxiety around a brand new program as much as I can, while acknowledging the fact that as of the first day of June, this program wasn't conceived. So in the course of the summer, we have built an entire school program that serves all students, possibly all students in the district from all schools at all grade levels and all backgrounds. And this program serves over 1,000 students. And so I just want to park that there. And I want you to take a deep breath with me. That's a lot. We are moving students, we are moving staff, parents, and are choosing this as an option because they're worried about the health and safety of their family or themselves. And that's a lot. And on top of that, there's a whole lot of questions and you're not getting a lot of answers. And in some cases, a number of you have emailed me and my response has been, I think this is what it's going to be, but I don't know. So I do want you to know that I promise to tell you, if I don't have the answer, I don't, and I will say so. I'm not going to make something up for you. And my goal is to help lower the anxiety, but also get you to understand that there's going to be a little bit of gray area. Superintendent Scuderi has been saying throughout the summer that we are basically flying the airplane while we are building the airplane. And with that being said, I imagine what it would be like to be the pilot. Imagine what it'd be like to be a passenger on that airplane that is being built as we go. So I just want you to park that in the back of your brain. That is not about trying to evade or excuses or anything like that. I just want you to know where I'm at. I also have said it in every time I've done anything with families is I am a parent. I have a 3.5 and a 7-year-old. And I have shared stories about them. If you've been on calls with me before, sometimes I get interrupted by them. When I say as a dad, I totally get what it's like to try and do work from home and supervise your kids and help them with school, even if it's not a subject that you're super comfortable with. I do, I get it. Doesn't mean we can avoid it, but I get it. And I am keeping that in my heart as we build this plan. With that, I'm gonna go ahead and keep going. And we have about an hour, less than that now. And I will do what I can, and I will make sure my email is up at the end so that if I don't get to a question or I don't answer something for you, you can email me. I will do my best to get back to you. If I've been slow in getting back to you over the last couple of days, we've been doing teacher training for the last 3 straight days, and I'm doing it again tomorrow. And that's because I want to make sure my teachers are best prepared to support you and your learners. I'm going to go through all of these things. I'll highlight some of the questions that we've gotten so far. At the end, if there's time, we will keep going. So the remote learning program is a program that is year-long for students who are not able to return to in-class instruction anytime in the fall, anytime all year, even if the county is saying it's safe to go back. Okay? Our goal is to have rigorous materials that are grade specific, formal assessments, have social emotional learning opportunities, and there will be some meetings, I will show you the schedule, where we look at mandatory attendance. Okay? The remote program is far more flexible than an average school day. It does not mean you get to show up once a month and then disappear again. This graphic was created, it's been on a ton of different things. You may have already seen it tonight. I was cooking dinner earlier. The remote program here is you, or what you're trying to get in. It is year-long, regardless of county health orders. It will be available all year. Now, once every couple of days or so, I get an email from a parent saying, can we maybe come back and revisit that idea if we get to a place where a vaccine is created and distributed and herd immunity and everyone's healthy again and it's still first semester? I suppose we could talk about it. But right this minute, based on how I see county orders, based on the district guidance, based on county, state, federal guidance, I don't know that that's going to happen to the point where the families who are choosing this, especially for medical reasons, are going to feel comfortable. So I show this every time. The flexible model is flexible. When it's safe to do so, you will be on campus. When it's not, it will be distance learning. That's different than remote program. Remote program is year-long remote learning. Now, depending on the way you read these words and what you read and everything like that, this gets really confusing, which is why I like this graphic. We are here in the green box, virtual learning for all year. Okay? And I always start with this because I do know it gets confusing. We've talked about this before. When I talk about homeschool, I don't mean homeschooling your kids. I mean the school that you would have been attending. So if you went to Edison last year and you were supposed to go to Edison this year, your homeschool is Edison. So when I say things like you're going to talk to your homeschool principal about that or connect with the homeschool about that, that's what I mean. We're going to call your child, your student, a learner. That's what they're doing. Our teachers are called learning coordinators because they're doing a little bit different. And we're going to talk about what that means. And the learning coach is you. You play a role in this program. We've talked about remote learning and distance learning. One of the other key pieces is the coordination of services team. The remote program will have one. So did every other school in the district. Okay. If you are, let's see. Clear. If you are struggling in remote related issues, the remote cost team, which is a team of staff and support providers who work together to look at where people are struggling and try to help them access services, will take care of it. If it's something different, if it's a housing related issue, a mental health related issue, we're going to be coordinating with the home school and their cost team. Social emotional learning gets tossed around a lot, but this is about the rest of the child. And Acellus is the software-based curriculum that we'll be using for our remote program. Okay? Let me see if I can clear off those annotations really quick. Clear all drawings. Okay. If you accidentally clicked on annotate, please don't. Who is in the remote program? Those of you that applied, I believe, before July 5th got notified that you were in, but then you had to accept the placement. This is a massive change in programmatic placement, so you had to accept it. If you didn't or you applied after that point, you got put on the waiting list. Let's see here. Uh-oh. That waiting list is still open. And for those of you on the waiting list, it is causing great anxiety. So I will acknowledge that. but that's where we're at. There are a wide variety of issues around teacher placement, student placement, school enrollment, all of those things, moving students, teachers, families, everything all over the round. And we had to wait until after we had completed our MOU with the teachers union so that we could know exactly how to go about doing that. That's not, again, an excuse. It's just about the timeline. So there are, I'm sure, a lot of you on this call that are on the waiting list trying to figure out, are you going to get in and when will I know? And the answer is, I'm not sure, and I'm not sure. And that's a terrible answer. I wish I had a better one. But again, I'm not going to make something up. I'm not hiding anything from you. If there are spots and we get it all sorted out and we can get more kids in, we're gonna. Nobody's holding it back. But if there isn't, then that's why you're on the wait list and you're still in a distance learning situation at your other school. We will talk about the schedule and how to manage work. We're going to talk about so I'm going to come back around to that. The learning coordinators will build their connection, and you'll see it on the schedule. They will have large group morning meetings and then 2 different opportunities for smaller group instruction as well as one-on-one instruction. There will be personal learning plans that the teachers will be building with the students and goal setting with them at each grade level, of course, and age level. That's going to look a little different, but that's the goal. And so to make sure that each teacher knows who your child is, what their needs are, what their goals are, and you are a part of that conversation. Honestly, this question about fostering independence is a really amazing one. And this plays a very nuanced role. Each of us as parents works on how do we help a student do their work while not sitting next to them saying, hey, do your work, do your work, do your work. That's no different than when they have homework on a daily basis or on a nightly basis, right? There's a balance point there. And for each student and each family, it's different. At the beginning of the year, it's going to be different than at the end of the year. It's really hard to ask you to understand that without deeply getting it. So the next couple slides, I believe, are going to show you a little bit more about what the parent-facing side is. The goal is to get your student to opt in. Now, that's very easy to say as an 11th grader or a 12th grader. That's a lot harder as a kindergartner. Can they even get on their Chromebook by themselves? And that may be the goal for the first month of school, is just getting them to be able to type in their username and password to get on the Chromebook or to open a Cellus. Okay? Connecting socially with peers and the home school. So as a reminder, all students stay a member of the homeschool community. Anything that is open to the homeschool students virtually is open to a remote student as well. So if the Dads Club is hosting a virtual poker night, whatever, then dads or whoever is invited to the Dads Club, I think they're now not called Dads Club, gets to go. And if you're doing a virtual walkathon to raise money at your school, and that includes reading 10 minutes a night or walking around the block every day for 2 weeks or whatever it is, you get to do that too. And if there are Zooms for that, you're going to get them. There are a number of people I've seen already from PTAs on here talking about that, and I've seen that a lot in the Facebook page. I had the chance to sit in on the elementary group of PTA presidents talking through what could this look like. At the same time, there may be other opportunities to connect in via other school-wide activities. The asynchronous learning activities for remote students are mostly going to be Acellus. Acellus is a software that provides video learning and will go from there to provide each individual student with the opportunity to learn what they need to learn. When there are questions, do I go to the remote principal or the homeschool principal? What an amazing question. There are 1,000 of you, and I love it. I am so impressed that all of a sudden there are 1,000 of us together. The reality is, if you can, and this may seem overwhelming, and I may regret this at some point, but please email me. If it's not a question for me, if it is a homeschool question, I'll forward it to them. I email with all of the principals all the time. I text with all of them all the time. We have great relationship. That's fine. But by me seeing the questions coming from different school sites, I may get a greater sense of an issue that's brewing or a concern that's coming. Okay? And I will, again, before we're done, I will put up my email address. Okay? It's also on the website all over the place. My last name is spelled out for you on the Zoom. It's B as in boy, Wachowski. And if you are struggling with how to spell that, it spells out as Wash of Sky. alamedaunified.org. Okay. If everyone only emails the homeschool principals, then each homeschool principal might get 2 or 3 questions, but we won't know that that's an issue. Okay. So with that, and I see the chat, unfortunately, when I'm presenting like this, I can't read through the chat. So when we're done, if there's time, I'll gun through and see if there's any questions. Okay. Hi, honey, I'm presenting right now. Okay. Now let's make this work. Okay, the parent views. Some of you have seen these before. These are screenshots from earlier in the summer. My son very graciously agreed to pilot the 2nd grade options with us. For those of you who haven't heard me say this before, Acellus is a program that we started using 5 or 6 years ago with our students with IEPs. And then last year we used it at Island. I know it works for high school students, and I know it works for kiddos who've deeply struggled with connecting to their education. So from that standpoint, we know it works. We didn't have a ton of experience with it in the elementary school, so my rising 2nd grader volunteered. This is the parent view. The score sheet shows you what classes they're in, what their progress is, what grade they're getting. The grade is about what percent correct answers are they giving on Acellus. This will not be the final grade. The learning coordinators will take what they've learned about your student in the small groups, in the one-on-one, and add to this to get to those standards-based grades that we've been talking about overall. Okay. The live view, the live monitor allows you, this is your view, you will have access, you will have a username and a password as well. That's coming. I haven't sent it yet. There's an app you can choose to download, and there's a parent login for it. And it will let you see what are they working on right now. For your high schoolers, if you're leaving your high schooler at home, for example, and you are going to work, this would be something you could pull out in the middle of the day, and you call them and say, what are you doing? Oh, Acellus. Really? My phone says you're not logged into anything right now. Instead of having that conversation that is subjective, what you think, the parent views allow you to have objective conversations. I see you did this much work. Okay. When you zoom in a little bit more about what's going on in a given class, in my son Noah's coding class, he did great. I definitely had some proud dad going on for this. And you can see what they're doing. The flags are color coded. This is again from the parent view. And then you can go deeper in as well to see how many times did they watch one of the teaching videos. The videos are 3 to 7 minutes, mostly 3 to 5 minutes long. And so if you have that fear of how much screen time are they getting, how much time are they gonna have to sit in front of a computer, they can watch one video and then get up and do a wiggle break or whatever. They can do a lot in a row. Some kids have the ability to just churn and burn all day. Some don't. More likely in my house, some days and some hours, my son had the ability to do it. And sometimes he didn't. And so then we had to work on that. Again, you can see green is what they did and did well. Yellow is what he was working on right there. Okay, and then today's work as a link as well in the Acellus app. You can see literally what they did that day. In my house, sometimes we have to use incentives. And so, and especially over the summer when this was kind of optional for them. So we would say things like you needed to do 10, 8 different things in order to get it done. Okay, that's great. He did it. He could do his extra 20 minutes of Minecraft or whatever it was that day. For each of you, the incentives might be different. The amount might be different. It's going to be about your child, your learner. And that's when we talk about it being flexible and self-paced. Each kid may do a different amount every day and may be able to do some days, some other days. You may be in a social pod situation where they're with you some of the time and you can really push the issue. And sometimes they may not be with you. They may be with someone else and it's hard for them to focus. So the Acellus piece of the day is able to ebb and flow. It has that flexibility. Okay. On the student view side of things, this is what it looks like when you first log in. In Noah's case, he had finished those other classes. If you saw them earlier, were first grade, so I moved him into second grade only. In this case, he had passed it, so it sent me as the learning coordinator a note that he had passed his exam, and so I wrote him a quick message back. This is one of the examples of the videos, and this is really just to show you what that video could be. It shows you there. It does have resources, progress, special lessons, and a help function. And you are able to turn on closed captions. So if that's something that's helpful for you, closed captions are there as well as reviewing other lesson videos. This is, again, second grade math, so please don't get worried if you're a high schooler being like, whoa, No, second grade math. And this was very early in the review side of second grade math. Okay. And again, how are they doing this progress monitoring? And you can see what grade are they getting. Okay. The things that are going to happen each day, the key pieces here are these first three. Okay. Acellus learning should be happening every day. Depending on your family situation, it may or may not. Small group instruction is happening and available every day. Some one-on-one time may be available every day. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the schedule next, and at the end, we'll talk a little more about first day, first weeks, what that's really going to be like. Okay, so again, and I know you guys have seen this before, it's come up before. In high school and middle school, we are on a 3x3 model. Okay, they will do 3 classes a semester, a year's worth of class in a semester, but only 3 at a time, and then they will go into the second semester and do the other 3. APs are available in high school. Elementary, it really is. It's going to be broken down into these 4 groups with extra things. Okay. And this is where we might find other extra enrichment classes, elective classes, things like that. And so those are available. And we are also looking at what else is there. Is Acellus the end all be all? No, it's not. If anyone can, it just isn't. No online program is ever going to meet the needs of every single kid in every single course that they need. The best example that we've been using so far this summer is the question about AP Mandarin. Acellus offers 3 languages, levels 1, 2, and 3 in high school: French, Spanish, and German. It doesn't offer Mandarin. For our kiddos who are on track for AP Mandarin, we've been working around the clock to find the best online option for that student, for that group of students, to make sure that that is available. That's the example I'm using. That's not the only example, right? If as we go, we decide that this isn't enough or one of the classes isn't robust enough, we may find additional online, or that'll be what that small group learning time is with the learning coordinator to, again, do more robust instruction in that. Oh, I talk with my hands. I apologize. And you can't see them because of the screen. So I've just been talking with my hands the whole time. The learning coordinator will do that work. At the youngest grade levels, that's going to be maybe a lot of read aloud time, small group reading, things like that. Older grade levels, we're going to be talking about essay writing, things like that. And one of the cool things about this and about this push to put everybody online for the whole year is we will have Google Docs as an option, which means you have the ability to do a really robust narrative feedback approach to writing. Okay. The sample daily schedule, we did show this in August earlier, but basically what we're looking at is 8:30 to 8:50 is a daily morning meeting time. And I will come back. I know the questions are about to come. I see it blinking. I'm going to park that right there, 8:30 to 8:50. Then 8:50 to 10:50, group 1 remote, smaller group, small group instruction with the learning coordinator. That will vary based on need, based on progress, based on what's going on with smaller groups. But if you ask your learning coordinator to be in that morning group, you will do that in the morning. The 10:50 to 11:50 will be scheduled one-on-one support based on additional needs that come up over the year. Okay, that won't be then for the remainder of the year. It might be for a couple of weeks while we do some support work, scaffolding work on a particular subject. In the afternoon, group 2 for remote will meet with their teacher. If your group isn't meeting with the learning coordinator, then you are doing in theory, your Acellus on your own time. Okay. Now, a lot of families have already reached out and said, wait a second, I don't know, this is way too much screen time for my kid. What else is going on? I get it. So for a lot of people, Acellus works. The beautiful thing about it is it's an app, it's web-based, and you can access it anytime, day or night. Okay. The 8:30 to 8:50 daily morning meeting. This is the one time a day where we want the whole group to meet together. This is one of the places that we take attendance. We are supposed to see you in live instruction, and this is one of the really great ways that we can build community as a class, okay? From that standpoint, there have been a few families who have reached out, and because of job, childcare, and things like that, they're concerned that that time won't work for them, but they can do the rest, okay? What the superintendent said on our last call was, if that's the one thing, if we are at 80, 90%, this program is totally right for you, and there's 10% where this isn't quite right, and we need to work with you one-on-one to figure that out, we can, in theory, okay? But in the greatest scheme of things, we do want that. One of the #1 questions we've gotten from parents is about social emotional learning and community building. This is when that is going to take place. So if at all possible, if we can get your kiddo in there too, that's great. Okay? Again, we are flying the plane while we are building it. That may mean, and I will say this now, based on plenty of community feedback, parent feedback, student feedback, and teacher feedback, as we go through the year, do we need to make some minor adjustments? We might. I will own that. I will say that now. As we go, whenever you build a brand new school, things change. That's okay. That may have just caused some of you to be like, oh God, I can't plan for that. I get it. I understand that anxiety. I feel the same way. I really want to be able to tell you that we have designed the perfect school before students ever touch it, before parents ever log into it, and it's perfect and it's done and it's handled. But the reality is I know I'm a human being. I make mistakes. I do. We are doing our best to create something that we have never, ever done before. So again, I'm just going to kind of keep laying that groundwork a little bit to kind of invite you to join me in the gray area to understand that the world is not black and white right now. It has a lot of gray. And so I want you to sit with me in that gray area and be flexible with me. I promise that I'm going to do my best to be as flexible as I can. There will be some things that I can change, some things that can't change, and we'll go from there. Okay? This first link, the remote page, is the quick link to the district's remote page. Okay? This PDF is already, I believe, available on that page. These are quite a few books and articles that we have found that Ms. Medina has found that may be really helpful to help students, help families process what's going on. These are not the only. If you go, like I said, that Facebook page for remote families, I find a lot of people sharing ideas back and forth. This worked in my house. This is what I did. I read this book. That's amazing. There is 1,000 families that are all looking to try and join me on this crazy journey that is uncomfortable and different. The first day of school, the first week of school, I want to be really clear. The first week of school is the first week of school. If there are any students, if you ask them, did anybody take a test on the first day of school? Think back to when you were in school. Did anybody take a final on the first week of school? No. The first week of school is about building community, about teachers reaching out to you, getting to know you and your family, getting to know your student. The Acellus links will come, the schedule will come, and I know it is causing this massive stress to not know exactly what's going on. I'm working as hard as I can on it. There are issues with the tech side, with Aries, getting every student into the right place in the right program. Some of you have been on the tail end of that, and I know how uncomfortable that is. The first couple days of school, we're going to get kids in. The teachers are going to walk your student through logging into Acellus, understanding it, doing the student orientation with them. First couple of days of school, I will most likely have a Zoom open a number of times just to be open. You can come in and check in with me, see how things are going. Okay? The learning coordinators, those teachers, are going to focus on your child. Okay? They're going to focus on getting school going. I can't say it enough. It's a brand new school. There are often times when families get together and say, or an organization gets together and say, we want to open a charter school. They might take 2 or 3 years to build that out, to get it where they want before they ever enroll students. We are doing this over the summer to make sure that for our vulnerable students, there's an option for them all year that you can feel safe. What that means is we are going as we go. With that, that is here. So I'm going to stop the share and bring you back to me. There are more chat questions than I can see here. So I'm just going to go through, and as I see questions, I'm going to read them out and try and answer them, or try and point you to where those answers are. Ooh, I went too high. I am in the remote program. Do I still need to do my homeschool's assignments? No. You are doing your core academics through the remote program. If you are in high school, or you are a high school family, and you've been assigned AP assignments over the summer. Sorry, my son was trying to see if I was done. If you are an AP student and trying to see if those summer assignments need to be done, for Acellus, they are not required. It's a different AP class, although the same class, it's like having a different teacher. If they already did that assignment, let your learning coordinator know. We'll be able to probably give you credit for that. The flip side of that is it doesn't hurt you to have done that learning, okay? When are we going to get the Acellus access code? So what's happening right now is all of the students are getting added to the newly created Aries Remote Program School in our student info system. Once they're in, I can upload them into Acellus. The learning coordinators will be getting that information and getting that out to you. You should have it by the first day of school. Right? I know that's not an answer that may make you feel super comfortable. That's the answer I've got. Okay? Great question. The next question is from Leona about the learning coordinators and what school are they coming from. So just from a priority standpoint, my priority standpoint is to get my teachers with the grade level that makes the most sense for them. And for our students is grade level first, homeschool second, and then a number of you emailed me pod requests. You and a neighbor are working together to tag team on childcare. That's great, but that's the prioritization. If I can sync it up so that I happen to have an Earhart teacher in that grade level with the vast majority of the Earhart students from that grade level, that is the goal. Because you're right, the more continuity I can provide, the more continuity the district can provide, the safer, the more continuous, the more community is already built. But if I can't, I can't. So Leona, that's not a promise I can make. It's not a promise about pods either for a variety of different reasons, but that's the goal and that's the prioritization because I do know that that would be important. How long are students online for? Is from Maddie as I'm going through the chat. And that question is, again, gonna vary. The time that I need you online consecutively, the morning meeting, and then that 2-hour block of time, which is really gonna be small group and one-on-one. So it may not be the whole 2 hours. That's gonna ebb and flow a little bit based on what's going on that week with your teacher and what the needs are of your student. Okay. So that may ebb and flow. The curriculum is on Acellus and is online. So that will be in front of a screen, although like I said, generally about 5-minute videos, 3 to 7, give or take. And so you can do that short video and then take a break so that you're not staring at a screen like I did today for 8 hours, which is overwhelming. I see, is Acellus free? Yes. You are in public education. This is all free to you. We don't ever ask the families to pay for public education. Cannot. The specials classes is the next question, science, gardening, things like that at the home school. It's an interesting question. For PE and music, there are similar classes, though not exactly the same on Acellus. And for some of the other classes that are often PTA funded or particularly unique to the homeschool, we are still working with the homeschools on how could we build out a space for that to happen. Although at the flip side of that is it becomes really difficult if only certain kids are going to certain remote access classes from a homeschool. So classes, generally the answer is no. Extension activities, PTA funded activities that are happening after school, generally the answer might be yes, but again, it's honestly, it's going to come down to a case-by-case basis in a lot of cases, which may not be the answer you're looking for, but it's the best answer I have for you. Yes, if your student has an IEP, I see is the next question. How does it work with students with IEPs in special education? And I will add in there 504s and things like that. So anything that is in your IEP by law, we have to do. There's Your special ed case managers, the remote school will have a number of special ed case managers assigned to us who will be working with you around the IEP and building out the IEP aligned plan of how are we going to take the IEP and make it work remotely. The services that you receive, if they can be done remotely, they will be, and you'll be working with special education and your IEP case manager on that. There are some things that may not apply. For example, a lot of times in IEPs or 504s especially, for students with attention, having trouble with staying focused and attentive for long periods of time, take the break. That's okay. The ability to do, at Island last year, I had a student or two who had really had a hard time sleeping at night. And so they were often up all night and then were tired and had a hard time coming to school. It's remote. You do most of this work on your own when it works for you, okay? So a lot of the things in IEPs and 504s will be there, won't apply necessarily because we won't need to. But if not, the 504s, you'll start with your case, your learning coordinator, and then we'll be working with the homeschool 504 case managers. And for IEPs, you'll start with a remote IEP case manager, and we'll be working with the homeschool psychologists for assessments and things like that as we go. Oh my God, you guys are amazing. So one, I just want to call out, there are a huge number of offers of helping each other in the chat. And I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate the offers of volunteering to help support the remote program and supporting each other. I will definitely call out the fact that it is an incredibly trying time. So to see all of these offers in here makes me really happy. Thank you. Ooh, Alan asked a really great question about the parent view and the live monitor. If the child leaves the screen on and then walks away and pretends like they're doing work and it says they've been on for an hour, it doesn't. It will notice, it tracks activity. So if they aren't then clicking on the questions and moving on, it might think that you watched the video, but then didn't do anything else, and it will say so. Really great question. I'm going, yeah. Let's see here. There are a lot of questions individually about courses and scheduling and what's next. So what I will say about all of that is if you private messaged me a specific question about schedule or chat, the way scheduling worked in the upper grade in secondary is I got all of the course requests. We're going to do our best to align the course requests with what we can do in Acellus. In some cases, that's going to align beautifully. In other cases, the learning coordinator will be reaching out to you and the homeschool counselor to make sure that the choice that we make is the right choice. So for example, if you've been doing art for a while, there's an AP Studio art class that maybe Alameda High wasn't offering or you weren't planning on taking, but you really wanted art, that might be an option for you. And so we'll go through that. We have the ability to be flexible within that. So if we need to make changes, or if you are, say, a sophomore and you're looking at one elective, but that's really an in-person that you need to wait till you get back to Encinal for, and you want to try a different elective right now, then we'd be talking to you about that. There will be an ongoing conversation about the courses that you're in. Ooh, Tyler asked a great question about who else gets to view in Acellus. So we will add the parents, but we can add up to 4 people per student. So if there is, say, an older cousin who's supposed to be at college, but they're stuck at home too, and they're coordinating your learning or whatever, and you want them to be able to sign in and see what your child is doing, we can add them. So I know that might be really helpful for quite a few families. Will Acellus make it easier to transition to the regular school curriculum next year? It should be 1-for-1. Easier? I don't know. I think everyone next year transitioning back into school when we go back to fully in person is going to be a difficult transition. after being out of in-person instruction for 18 months. I think anyone who says anything different is lying. It's going to be hard. We all know that kiddos do best under clear structure, clear guidelines. Even when they're acting out and pushing boundaries, what they're really asking is to know where that boundary is. We know that. So come August of next year, if we're all back in traditional learning environment, it's going to be hard for everyone. And I know that's a hard answer, and that's a rough thing to say, but I want to be really clear about that. If you weren't getting any emails, there are 2 reasons about email. So I've sent 2 emails in the last little bit about finding us. If you haven't gotten them, and hold on 1 second. Pasquale, I heard you wanted to join.
Yeah, no, I'm noticing you're flying solo here, so I wanted to offer just to read questions or whatever. I am not above helping you coordinate. So
awesome, thank you.
Some parents have noticed that too. So I'm going to keep my mic off and not try to be the guy stealing your show. I'll just help you monitor the chat. Awesome,
thank you. Okay. If you are having issues with the communication suite, Parent Square is coming online right now. You can email Aries Help. The only thing that you need for Acellus is the Chromebook or a device with a screen and a keyboard. From there, beyond that, you should be good. If you want the materials, you can coordinate that with the homeschool.
There's a question in here, Ben, about PTAs and sharing of resources.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to answer that in terms of the fact that kids are going to still be assigned to their home schools.
Yeah, so we talked about that a little while ago. Mostly the student is still a member of the homeschool. And so that means they have access to all of the PTA activities that homeschool is doing, and that I've been starting to meet with Beth Aney and some of the other, Kate Roan, and a number of the PTAs, especially at the elementary level, to look at how else can we, what funding do we need, adopting our teachers here, things like that, and going from there. Yeah.
If I am unhelpful in reading questions, just
no. I asked everyone to just throw them in the chat through our presentation, and we're just kind of going through. So if you see a good one, great. I
guess families haven't received emails, so that's a communications thing that I can look at with our enrollment admissions communication folks.
Yeah, and what we found too for some families when you did your data validation is if you only selected like emergency notifications and not general, or if someone else is the primary contact but you wanted that too, the default settings didn't send them to you. So we've been working with Aries Help a lot on getting default settings changed. There was definitely a lot of questions as well about when do I get my login information? And the answer to that is once we've got everything set up in Aries and once we've got everything set up in Acellus, we're sending it out. We're not sitting on it. We're not trying to make it more anxiety producing than it otherwise is. But we need to be able to get that all together. If you haven't gotten it yet, all of our communication, because there's a couple questions in here about where do I even look for my login information? And so what I will say is it will be emailed out to the primary contact's email via Parent Square. And so if you're not sure where to look or your child to look, when I do the Parent Square, it normally goes to, your students might say, I've got all these weird emails from this weird Wachowski guy. That's me. And those were the invites from over summer. And they went to, I believe, student accounts as well.
I don't know if you answered the question about electives. Students in the remote program able to take more than 2 electives. Is this actually possible? And when are students able to choose their electives and how?
Yeah, so generally speaking, we have it set up secondary, elementary, most likely it'll be 1 elective at a time. Secondary, it's the 3 classes and the 3 classes. They'll be working if we need to modify that, or say we put someone who loves math, but we put math in the 2nd semester and they want to change that, we can. I know we're very used to the very rigid structures of traditional school setting and having to go and meet with the counselors. We can be a lot more flexible and move things back and forth if we need to. So I know that's probably causing some consternation there. The other question though is, could I add an extra elective? Could I do 3 plus 1 or 2? And the answer is sure. The answer isn't no. What we're going to do is we're going to see how students are doing with those 3. Is that a manageable load? Are they finding they are just ripping through this? This is super easy. They love it. They want more electives. Then maybe we'll add some. At Island, we had 2 juniors last year graduate because of Acellus as juniors. So it is physically possible. But I don't want to, on the flip side, take a kiddo who we told get ready for 3 classes, put them in 5 and have them flounder.
And Ben, you're doing great. I just want to make sure you have the support you need. So Sarah and Kirsten are here as well too.
Amazing.
You need to unmute them, and they're in there. No reflection on your ability to handle. I just noticed you were a Lone Ranger right now.
I love it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Sarah. I just unmuted you.
Hi. You're doing great. I've been here for a while. You're doing awesome.
Woohoo! And Kirsten, I just unmuted you. Welcome. Oh, only 128 new messages. Cool. The limitations on AP, what else can I do? Can I accelerate my child? The answer is going to be, we're going to work with your counselors, especially at the high school level. Does this make sense? Is there a limitation on AP? It's the same as at the traditional setting. In Acellus, if we see they're really just kicking butt and doing great, maybe we talk about it. But the reality is, as we all know, a kiddo who's doing 6 APs, it's pretty rare for a kiddo who does 6 APs to really flourish in that environment. There are kids who do. But I mean, even just thinking back to when I was in high school, more than 1 or 2, and all of a sudden it just got to be overwhelming. And given that the world is overwhelming right now, that's not my favorite idea. I see questions about how many kiddos will be in the group, how many students are the learning coordinators supervising. It's listed out in our contract with the teachers union. So high school is 35, I believe. Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, kindergarten's 24, 25. And then it varies by age group after that.
Heather has a kind of just a practical nuts and bolt question about day 1, Thursday. Yes. What links, emails, where do you want people going?
Yeah, so what will be happening as soon as they can is the learning coordinators, once they are connected to you, will be putting out the link to the Google Classroom. And I see another question from Mr. Smith about Google Classroom. Each learning coordinator will have a Google Classroom as a landing pad that your student will be able to go to find the links, to find the Zoom links, all of that kind of stuff. It'll all get emailed out as well, but I know, listen, and I've been a dad now for 2 weeks going through your side of things, the parent side of things, for the last 2 weeks, and watching my son try to just keep track of his 1 Zoom a day starts to get overwhelming. So we want that Google Classroom there so that if he forgets or he's, you know, with grandma one day or whatever, we can figure that out. So there will always be a Google Classroom, and once they join it, they will be permanently linked to that for the year.
There's one here that I can take on, Ben, if you don't mind, about when everything gets back to normal, remote students will return back to their schools.
Yes, and I talked about that, about this idea of if there's a vaccine by January and 7 billion doses are created and it's safe to go back to the point where all of our families who have medical needs can go back, then that might be a conversation we have, but that this is a commitment for the year.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good way to answer it. And other people have asked, well, if everyone's starting in distance, why do we still have this model? In fact, Kirsten and I have talked about this at great length, and really offering this for the full year. You know, if we would be in distance learning and the whole district had to go back into in-person learning, the odds that we could pull this off mid-year and accommodate this many families just are not in our favor, and they would have, I think, an even more dramatic impact on staffing elsewhere. For beyond this school year, I think by the midpoint in the year, we'll have a pretty sober assessment of where things are going. Right now, the commitment is just for a year.
Perfect. District team, are there any other questions that you think we need to really hit on?
Seems like the learning coordinator assignments, and I don't probably need Sarah and or Kirsten to talk about
I can talk a little bit about the learning coordinator assignments.
Yeah.
So just for everyone to sort of have perspective, what we've had to do is there were teachers that were set to teach in the flexible model. We had to reduce the amount of teachers in the flexible model to pool teachers out to be in the remote model. And what that means is by following the contract, we've had to ask for volunteers. And so there is a elongated process to make sure that everybody is staffed correctly. With that said, we are hoping that teachers will be able to send out welcome back letters by Wednesday that will have Google links in them, that will have the Zoom links in them, so that you all know what to expect on the first day of school. We're hoping to have all of this finished by tomorrow so that everybody has the information that they need.
And Kirsten, while you're here, there's a couple questions regarding the specific needs of students with IEPs in the remote program. And there was a suggestion that maybe on short order, we could put something together for that specific subgroup of parents. Or is there another way that we want to have those families reach out for direct support? Seems like there's
everyone who has a student in special education will be getting a letter that goes out actually tonight from Pam Kizzy. We will have specific special education teachers that are part of the remote program. So they will be helping with case management of students. So students, if they are moderate to severe, you will have, your program looks much different than Acellus, and the teacher will be working with you specifically around what that looks. If you have a student who has a mild to moderate IEP and they have a resource teacher that they may be worked with for a number of minutes for strategic academic instruction, they will have a case manager that continues to do that with them while they are in Acellus. So they will help and work with the general teacher to keep up with Acellus. They will offer strategic academic support during the day. So that will be time when they're Zooming. You will also have access to specialists that are part of your IEP. The difference is that we will not have a formal IEP in place because what Prop 98 says is that we have to create what is they call emergency plans. We're calling IEP aligned plans to work within the structure that we have in the remote program. And so you're going to be getting your student's IEP aligned plan and introduced to your moderate or your mild to moderate support teacher within the next week as we start the remote program.
And Ben, last one. I just want to say folks are asking about the recording, the availability of the recording. And I noticed that someone put the link in there to our site, which is great. I've asked staff, because of the complications we've had tonight with the Zoom limits, to, as soon as the recordings become available, we will email these out to everybody in the district, remote and flexible families alike. So folks have access to the recording. I know there's some folks that have joined late and that we've had some missteps in terms of capacity tonight. So we'll get those out to you on short order, hopefully by noon tomorrow.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. Yes, this is being recorded. The little red dot's blinking. And as soon as that parses, we'll get that over to Susan Davis to get it put up. Thank you. Other than that, I see a bunch. I think that's the vast majority of the questions. Thank you, District.
Can I say one thing, Ben?
Yeah.
This is Sarah Stone, Chief Academic Officer. So we will take the chat and we will look through it. It looks like there is some communication that still needs to go out to all of the remote families that we need to make sure is going out as soon as possible. I see questions about materials pickup, things like that. So we'll make sure that we have clarity on all of that very, very, very quickly. And so I just want to make sure that you're all aware that we're taking those questions and we're using those to make some communications.
Perfect. Yes, thank you. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining me. I'm going to hit the stop button on the recording. I hope this was able to help. I hope it lowered anxiety and didn't raise it for anybody. But if not, like I said, the last thing I said is I will put it in the chat as well. My email address is bwashopski at gmail at Alameda. There we go. Unified.org. And you're welcome to email me at any point, and I will either have the answer or I'll forward it and make sure that we get the answer to you as soon as we can. So thank you so much. Have a great night. Let us know what we can do, and we'll start school on Thursday.
And thank you for doing this for our families tonight. And folks, I saw some of it in the chat. It certainly was not our intention to have our captain here flying solo. So hopefully we got in with some support at the end, and we'll debrief this and make sure that he gets what he needs as we move forward. That's on us.
Thanks.